So we will turn to page 219 in the book, 219, list 6.30, part 6, chapter 38, part 6, 6.30, page 219. Namo fundamental teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo fundamental teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo fundamental teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, profound and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Flower Dharma Sutra, Transcending the World, Chapter 38, Part 6. Disciples of the Buddha, when a Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, he reveals the 10 kinds of events. What are the 10? They are as follows. Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, from the soles of his feet he emits a great light called adornment of peace and happiness that everywhere illuminates the 3,000 great thousand worlds of all the beings undergoing difficulties in the lowly destinies who come in contact with the light. None fail to leave suffering and attain peace and happiness. Having attained peace and happiness, they know that an extraordinary person will appear in the world. This is the first event that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reveals. Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, from the white curl mark between his eyebrows, he emits a ray of great light called awakening that everywhere illuminates the 3,000 great thousand worlds, shining upon the Bodhisattva who were his fellow cultivators in past lives. All these Bodhisattvas having been illuminated know that the Bodhisattva wishes to be born in the human world, so they produce and present innumerable offerings to him. This is the second event that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reveals. Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, from his right palm he emits a great light called pure state that purifies all the 3,000 great thousand worlds. The practical Buddhas who have already attained non-outflows and are aware of the light immediately renounce their lives by the power of the light. Those who are not aware are relocated to other worlds. Demons, externalists, those with erroneous views, and all beings who see this light are also relocated to other worlds.
Except for those
who are sustained by the spiritual power of the Buddhas and are ready to be liberated. This is the third event that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reveals. Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, from his knees he emits a great light called pure adornments that everywhere shines upon the celestial palaces, from the heavens of world-protecting kings onward up to and including the heavens of pure abodes. All the celestial beings in the heavens realize that the Bodhisattva in the Tushita heaven wishes to be born in the human realm, reluctant to be apart, full of admiration, mournful and distressed. Each one brings and respectfully offers various flower garlands, clothing, rubbing incense, powder incense, banners, canopies, works of art and music to the Bodhisattva, and then follows him in his descent from the moment of his birth all the way up to his nirvana. This is the fourth event that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reveals. Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, from the character one on his Vajra-adorned chest, he emits a great light called the banner of invincibility that everywhere shines upon the Vajra knights in the world throughout the 10 directions. At that moment, billions of Vajra knights all come together, follow and guard the Bodhisattva from the moment of his birth all the way up to his nirvana. This is the fifth event that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reveals. Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, from each pore of his body he emits a great light called distinguishing beings that extends everywhere throughout the great thousand worlds, shining upon the Bodhisattvas,
the celestial
beings and the humans of all worlds. The Bodhisattvas and all the others have the following thought: I should dwell here in order to make offerings to the Tathagata and to teach beings. This is the sixth event that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reveals. Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, from the great Mani Jewel Treasury Palace, he emits a great light called skillfully observing that shines upon the king's palace where the Bodhisattva is to be born. Having received this light, other Bodhisattvas follow him down to Jambudvipa to be born in the same family, the same village, or the same town or city, for the sake of teaching beings. This is the seventh event that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reveals. Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, from all the sublime adornments of the heavenly palaces and the magnificent buildings and pavilions, he emits a great light called pure adornment of all palaces that shines upon the womb of the mother from whom he is to be born. Having received the illumination, the Bodhisattva's mother feels peaceful, happy, and is replete with meritorious virtue. In his mother's womb, an immense mansion naturally appears, adorned with great mani pearls for securely holding the body of the Bodhisattva. This is the eighth event that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reveals. Disciples of the Buddha,
when the Bodhisattva
Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, from the soles of his feet he emits a great light called skillful abiding. If the celestial kings and gods of the Brahma heavens, whose lives are about to end, are illuminated by this light, their lives are extended. They make offerings to the Bodhisattva from the moment of his birth all the way up to his nirvana. This is the ninth event that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reveals. Disciples of the Buddha, When the Bodhisattva Mahasattva in the Tushita heaven is about to descend to be born in the human world, from within his subtle features, he emits a great light called adornment of eyes that displays the Bodhisattva's various deeds. At that point, both humans and gods see the Bodhisattva dwell in the Tushita heaven, or see him enter the womb, or see him renounce secular life, or see him accomplish the path, or see him vanquish demons, or see him turn the wheel of Dharma, or see him enter Nirvana. This is the 10th event that the Bodhisattva Mahasattva reveals. Disciples of the Buddha, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva radiates hundreds of billions of sankhya's of such light from his body, from his throne and palace, and from his towers, all displaying various deeds of the Bodhisattva. Having displayed these deeds, and being fully replete with numerous virtues and dharma, he descends from the Tushita heaven to be born in the human world. End of Transcending the World, Chapter 38, Part 6. Transcending the World, Chapter 38, Part 7. Disciples of the Buddha. 10 events are revealed when a Bodhisattva Mahasattva dwells in the womb. What are the 10? They are as follows. Disciples of the Buddha. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva, wishing to develop beings who are small-minded and inferior in understanding, manifests dwelling in the womb so that they will not think. The Bodhisattva is born spontaneously and is naturally endowed with wisdom and roots of goodness without having to cultivate. This is the first event. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva, wishing to nurture to maturity the roots of goodness of his parents, retinues, and fellow cultivators of past lives, manifests dwelling in the womb. Why? It is because all these beings may perfect all his roots of goodness by seeing the Bodhisattva dwelling in the womb. This is the second event. When the Bodhisattva Mahasattva enters the womb, he has proper mindfulness and proper knowledge, devoid of delusion. Once he dwells in the womb, he constantly abides in proper mindfulness, devoid of distraction. This is the third event. While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is in the womb, he always expounds the Dharma, causing all the great Bodhisattvas, Lord Shakra, the king of the Brahma heavens, and the 4 celestial kings, who gather there from all worlds in the 10 directions, to be bestowed with measureless spiritual powers and infinite wisdom. The Bodhisattva dwells in the womb and accomplishes such an excellent faculty of eloquence. This is the 4th event. While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is in the womb, he gathers great assemblies of Bodhisattvas around him. Using the power of his original vows, he teaches and transforms these multitudes. This is the 5th event. Since the Bodhisattva Mahasattva would become a Buddha in the human realm, his birth as a human should be most supreme. Therefore he appears in his mother's womb. This is the 6th event. When the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is in his mother's womb, all the beings in the 3,000 great thousand world systems sees the Bodhisattva as if seeing his own face reflected in a bright mirror. At that time the magnanimous-minded gods, dragons, yakshas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Garudas, Kinnaras, Maharajas, humans and non-humans, all come to where the Bodhisattva is and respectfully make offerings to him. This is the 7th event. When the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is in his mother's womb, all the Bodhisattvas in their final lives from the worlds of other directions
who are also in their
mother's wombs come to assemble together and expound the Dharma of the great collection of Dharmas, which is called the treasury of vast and great wisdom. This is the 8th event. When the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is in his mother's womb, he enters the samadhi of treasury of freedom from defilement. By the power of the samadhi, he manifests great palaces in his mother's womb. The various adornments of these palaces are all wonderful and exquisite, and to which even the Tushita palaces cannot compare. Moreover, this causes his mother to be safe and comfortable without any suffering. This is the 9th event. When the Bodhisattva Mahasattva dwells in his mother's womb, by virtue of his great awesome power, he showers down items of offerings called opening the treasury of blessings and virtue that are free from defilement. These items pervade all worlds in the 10 directions as offerings to all Buddhas, Tathagatas. who in turn speak the treasury of the Dharma realm of Bodhisattva's boundless abodes. This is the 10th event. Disciples of the Buddha. These are the 10 events that every Bodhisattva Mahasattva manifests when he dwells in the womb. If every Bodhisattva were to completely understand this Dharma, he will be able to manifest profound and subtle events. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva manifests 10 kinds of subtle events. What are the 10? They are in the mother's womb. He manifests the initial aspiration for Bodhi up to and including the stage of receiving anointment on the head.
In the mother's womb,
he manifests dwelling in the Tushita heaven. In the mother's womb, he manifests initial birth. In the mother's womb, he manifests the stage of childhood. In the mother's womb, he manifests living in a royal palace. In the mother's womb, he manifests renouncing the secular life. In the mother's womb, he manifests the practice of austerities, going to the mandala and attaining equal and proper awakening. In the mother's womb, he manifests turning the wheel of Dharma. In the mother's womb, he manifests entering parinirvana. In the mother's womb, he manifests great subtleties, such as cultivation of all the bodhisattva practices and all the Tathagata's infinite different doors of spiritual powers of self-mastery. Disciples of the Buddha, these are the 10 kinds of subtle events manifested by a Bodhisattva Mahasattva. If every Bodhisattva were to abide peacefully in these dharmas, he will attain the subtleties of the Tathagata, subtleties that are of unsurpassed and great wisdom. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 kinds of birth. What are the 10? They are birth with proper mindfulness and proper knowledge, devoid of ignorance, birth accompanied by a vast brilliant net that illuminates throughout the 3,000 great thousand world systems, birth in which he undergoes his final existence in a body free from any future birth, birth characterized by non-origination and non-arising, birth in which he knows the 3 realms to be like an illusion, birth by universally appearing in all the worlds of the 10 directions, birth in the body of wisdom of all wisdom, birth in a body that emits the light of all Buddhas, universally awakens all beings, birth in a body wherein he enters contemplative samadhi with great wisdom. Disciples of the Buddha, when a Bodhisattva is born, he causes all Buddha lands to quake, liberates living beings, eradicates lowly destinies, and eclipses the demons, while innumerable Bodhisattvas come and surround him. Disciples of the Buddha, these are the 10 kinds of birth of a Bodhisattva Mahasattva. In order to guide and discipline beings, he manifests in this way. Disciples of the Buddha, for 10 reasons a Bodhisattva Mahasattva manifests beams of joy and makes vows in his heart. What are the 10?
They are as
Follows. The Bodhisattva Mahasattva thinks, all worldly beings are sunk in the mire of desire, and no one but I can rescue them. With this knowledge he beams with joy and makes a vow in his heart. He also thinks, all worldly beings are blinded by afflictions, and now I am fully endowed with wisdom. With this knowledge he beams with joy and makes a vow in his heart. He also thinks, by means of this so-called body, I will attain the Tathagata's supreme Dharma body, which pervades the 3 periods of time. With this knowledge he beams with joy and makes a vow in his heart. With unobstructed eyes, the Bodhisattva universally observes all the Brahma heavens of the 10 directions, up to and including the heaven of Maheshvara. He then thinks, these kinds of beings all claim themselves to have the power of great wisdom. With this knowledge he beams with joy and makes a vow in his heart. Then the Bodhisattva observes beings and sees that these beings have in the past planted roots of goodness, and yet they are now regressing. With this knowledge he beams with joy and makes a vow in his heart. He also observed that although few seeds are sown in this world, many fruits ripen. With this knowledge he beams with joy and makes a vow in his heart. The Bodhisattva observes and sees that all beings who receive the teaching of the Buddha will certainly gain benefit. With this knowledge he beams with joy and makes a vow in his heart. The Bodhisattva observes and sees that his fellow bodhisattvas, those with whom he had practiced in past lives, have failed to gain the vast meritorious virtue from the Buddha Dharma because they have become tainted by being attached to things. With this knowledge he beams with joy and makes a vow in his heart. The Bodhisattva observes and sees that the gods and humans who gather with him in his past lives have remained in the mundane states in the present, able to renounce these conditions nor tire of them. With this knowledge he beams with joy and makes a vow in his heart. At that time the Bodhisattva, having been bathed in the light of the Tathagata, becomes even more delighted. He beams with joy and makes a vow in his heart. These are the 10 disciples of the Buddha. Every Bodhisattva, for the sake of guiding and disciplining beings, manifests in this way. Disciples of the Buddha. A Bodhisattva Mahasattva shows the walking of 7 steps for 10 reasons. What are the 10? They are as follows. In order to manifest the Bodhisattva's power, he shows the walking of 7 steps. In order to manifest the giving of the 7 kinds of wealth, he shows the walking of 7 steps. In order to manifest satisfying the wishes of earth spirits, he shows the walking of 7 steps. In order to manifest the transcending of the characteristics of the 3 realms, he shows the walking of 7 steps. In order to manifest the supreme conduct of the Bodhisattva, conduct that surpasses that of the elephant king, that of the bull king, and that of the lion king, he shows the walking of 7 steps. In order to manifest the characteristics of the Vajragram, he shows the walking of 7 steps. In order to manifest the wish to give beings the power of courage, he shows the walking of 7 steps.
In order to manifest
the precious practice of the 7 factors of awakening, he shows the walking of 7 steps. In order to manifest that the Dhamma he has attained does not come from the teaching of others, he shows the walking of 7 steps. In order to manifest his supreme pureness in the world, he shows the walking of 7 steps. These are the 10. Every Bodhisattva, for the sake of guiding and disciplining beings, manifests in this way. Disciples of the Buddha. A Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 reasons for appearing as a youth. What are the 10? They are as follows. In order to demonstrate the mastery of various talents such as the mastery of words, languages, mathematics, drawing, literature, and the making of seals, he appears as a youth. In order to demonstrate the mastery of various military arts such as riding elephants and horses, charioteering, archery, swordsmanship, or spearmanship, he appears as a youth. In order to demonstrate the mastery of writing, calligraphy, penmanship, oratory, and debating, games and amusements such as gambling or chess playing, he appears as a youth. In order to demonstrate faultless karma in action, speech, and thought, he appears as the youth. In order to demonstrate entering samadhis, abiding in the state of nirvana, and universally pervading the infinite worlds in the 10 directions, he appears as the youth. In order to demonstrate that his powers surpass all those of gods, dragons, yakshas, gandharvas, asuras, garudas, kinnaras, maharagas, Lord Chakra, the king of the Brahma heavens, world-protecting kings, humans and non-humans, he appears as the youth. In order to demonstrate that the superior features and majestic brilliance of the Bodhisattva surpass those of Lord Chakra, the king of the Brahma heavens and world-protecting kings, he appears as the youth. In order to cause beings to indulge in the sensual pleasures, in the Dharma, he appears as a youth. In order to cause beings to respect the proper Dharma and diligently make offerings to Buddhas throughout the worlds in the 10 directions, he appears as a youth. In order to demonstrate the reception of the Buddha's blessing, protection, and the light of Dharma, he appears as a youth. These are the 10 disciples of the Buddha. After appearing as a youth, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva manifests living in the royal palace for 10 reasons. What are the 10? They are in order to nurture to maturity the roots of goodness of those beings who were his fellow cultivators in past lives. He manifests living in the royal palace. In order to show the power of the Bodhisattva's roots of goodness, he manifests living in a royal palace. in order to manifest the Bodhisattva's majestic items of amusement for humans and gods who indulge in objects of amusement. He manifests living in a royal palace in order to accord with the minds of beings in the world of the five Tibetities. He manifests living in a royal palace in order to manifest the majestic power and great virtues of the Bodhisattva by entering Samadhi in the inner court. He manifests living in a royal palace in order to fulfill the wishes of beings who made the same vows as the Bodhisattvas in his past lives. He manifests living in a royal palace in order to fulfill the wishes of the Bodhisattva's parents, relatives, and retinues. He manifests living in a royal palace in order to produce offerings of wondrous Dharma sounds with music to all the Tathagatas. He manifests living in a royal palace in order to manifest abiding in subtle and wondrous Samadhi inside the palace from the moment of attaining Buddhahood to Nirvana. He manifests living in a royal palace in order to accord with and protect the teachings of the Buddha. He manifests living in a royal palace. These are the 10. After having manifested living in a royal palace in this way, a Bodhisattva in his final life renounces the secular life.
Disciples of the Buddha.
A Bodhisattva Mahasattva manifests the renouncing of secular life for 10 reasons. What are the 10? They are becoming weary of secular life. He manifests the renouncing of secular life for the sake of causing beings who are attached to his secular lives to give up his attachments. He manifests the renouncing of secular life for the sake of according with, having faith in, and taking delight in the path of sages. He manifests the renouncing of secular life for the sake of extolling the meritorious virtue of renouncing secular life. He manifests the renouncing of secular life for the sake of demonstrating eternal freedom from the two kinds of extreme views. He manifests the renouncing of secular life for the sake of enabling beings to renounce sexual pleasures or personal pleasures. He manifests the renouncing of secular life for the sake of exemplifying the appearance of transcending the three realms. He manifests the renouncing of secular life for the sake of showing self-mastery and independence from others. He manifests the renouncing of secular life
for the sake of showing that he
will attain the Dhammas of the 10 powers and the fearlessnesses of the Tathagatas. He manifests the renouncing of secular life. Since every Bodhisattva should do this in his final life, he manifests the renouncing of secular life. These are the 10. Every Bodhisattva employs these manifestations to guide and discipline beings, disciples of the Buddha. A Bodhisattva Mahasattva has 10 reasons for manifesting the practice of austerities. What are the 10? They are in order to bring to maturity beings with inferior understanding. He manifests the practice of austerities to pull out living beings mired in erroneous views. He manifests the practice of austerities in order to enable beings who do not believe in the consequences of his actions to see the consequences. He manifests the practice of austerities in order to accord with the Dharma by adapting to the way of the defiled worlds. He manifests the practice of austerities to show his ability to endure hardship and to diligently cultivate the path. He manifests the practice of austerities to cause beings to be willing to seek the Dharma. He manifests the practice of austerities for the sake of the beings who are attached to the pleasures of desire and indulgence. He manifests the practice of austerities in order to show that Bodhisattvas can give rise to sublime and superior practices up through his final lives without ever giving up diligence and vigor. He manifests the practice of austerities in order to cause beings to take delight in the Dharma of quiescence and to develop his fruits of goodness. He manifests the practice of austerities for the sake of celestials and worldly people whose roots are immature, while waiting until the time they become mature. He manifests the practice of austerities. These are the 10. Every Bodhisattva employs these expedient means to guide and discipline all beings, disciples of the Buddha. A Bodhisattva Mahasattva causes 10 events to happen on the way to the Bodhi Mandala. What are the 10? On the way to the Bodhi Mandala, he illuminates all worlds. On the way to the Bodhi Mandala, he quakes all worlds. On the way to the Bodhi Mandala, he everywhere manifests his body in all worlds. On the way to the Bodhi Mandala, he awakens all bodhisattvas and beings who were his fellow practitioners in his past lives. On the way to the Bodhi Mandala, he causes all the adornments to appear at the Bodhi Mandala. On the way to the Bodhi Mandala, according to the wishes of all beings, he demonstrates various kinds of deportment and causes all the adornments to appear on the Bodhi tree. On the way to the Bodhi Mandala, he beholds all the Tathagatas of the 10 directions. On the way to the Bodhi Mandala, he constantly abides in samadhi with every step and becomes a Buddha within every thought without any interruption. On the way to the Bodhi Mandala, he receives various kinds of superbly wondrous offerings showered down by all of the gods, dragons, yakshas, gandharvas, asuras, garudas, kinnaras, maharajas, Lord Shakra, the king of the Brahma heavens, world-protecting kings, and all the other kings who are unaware of each other. On the way to the Bodhi Mandala, with his unimpeded wisdom, he universally observes all Buddhas, the Tathagatas, cultivating the Bodhisattva conduct and attaining proper awakening in all worlds. These are the 10. Every Bodhisattva employs these to teach and transform beings. Disciples of the Buddha, a Bodhisattva Mahasattva causes 10 kinds of events to happen while sitting at the Bodhi Mandala. What are the 10? They are, while sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he quakes all worlds in various ways. While sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he equally illuminates all world systems. While sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he eradicates all the suffering in the lowly destinies. While sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he causes all worlds to be formed from Vajra. While sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he universally observes the lion thrones of all Buddhas, Tathagatas. While sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, his mind is like space without any discrimination. While sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he manifests deportment appropriate to conditions. While sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he accords with and securely abides in Vajra Samadhi. While sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he receives a pure and wonderful seed sustained by the spiritual powers of all the Tathagatas. While sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he uses the power of his own roots of goodness to bless all beings. These are the 10. Disciples of the Buddha. While a Bodhisattva Mahasattva is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, 10 extraordinary and unprecedented events take place. What are the 10? While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, all the Tathagatas from the worlds of the 10 directions appear before him, raise his right hands and praise him, saying, Gurindi, Gurindi, such an unsurpassed guiding master, this is the first unprecedented event. While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, all the Tathagatas are mindful and protective of him, bestowing awe-inspiring strength upon him. This is the second unprecedented event. While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, the Bodhisattvas who were his fellow cultivators in past lives all come and surround him and respectfully make offerings of various adornments. This is the third unprecedented event.
While the Bodhisattva
Mahasattva is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, the plants, trees, and all sentient beings, all insentient things in all worlds bend down toward the Bodhi Mandala. This is the fourth unprecedented event. While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he enters the samadhi called observing the Dharma realm, through which he perfects all Bodhisattva practices. This is the fifth unprecedented event. While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he attains the dharani called the treasury of the ocean of supreme pure wonderful light, enabling him to receive the great clouds and rain of the Dharma from all Buddhas, Tathagatas. This is the sixth unprecedented event. While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he makes superb and wondrous offerings using the power of his awe-inspiring virtue to all Buddhas throughout all worlds. This is the seventh unprecedented event. While the Bodhisattva Mahasattva is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he abides in supreme wisdom by which he completely knows the faculties intentions, and actions of all beings. This is the eighth unprecedented event. While the Bodhisattva Mahasava is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he enters the samadhi called excellent awareness. Through its power, he pervades all worlds and the entire realm of space throughout the 3 periods of time. This is the ninth unprecedented event. While the Bodhisattva Mahasava is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he attains undefiled illumination and unimpeded great wisdom, enabling his deeds to universally affect the 3 periods of time. This is the 10th unprecedented event. Disciples of the Buddha, these are the 10 extraordinary and unprecedented events that occur while a Bodhisattva Mahasava is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala. Disciples of the Buddha, while a Bodhisattva Mahasava is sitting at the Bodhi Mandala, he manifests the conquering of demons from observing 10 kinds of principles. What are the 10? They are as follows. In order to demonstrate the power of the awe-inspiring virtues of a Bodhisattva to beings in a turbid age who like fighting, he manifests the conquering of demons. In order to sever the doubts of the gods and mundane people who have doubts, he manifests the conquering of demons. In order to teach, transform, guide, and subdue the armies of demons, he manifests the conquering of demons.
In order to cause the gods
and humans to ravish brawling in battle, to come and observe the quelling of demons, so that their minds become subdued, he manifests the conquering of demons. In order to demonstrate that the awe-inspiring strength of the Bodhisattva reigns supreme in the world, he manifests the conquering of demons. In order to rouse the courage, vigor, and strength of all beings, he manifests the conquering of demons. In order to show compassion and pity for beings in the final age, he manifests the conquering of demons. In order to show that the demons' armies may still come to disturb cultivators, even when they reach the Bodhi Mandala, and that only by working through this can they transcend demonic states, he manifests the conquering of demons. In order to show that beings' afflictions are strong, their karma heavy, their blessings inferior, and their powers weak, and that a Bodhisattva's roots of goodness are superior and his power strong, he manifests the conquering of demons. In order to comply with the way things work in a turbid and unwholesome world, he manifests the conquering of demons. These are the 10 disciples of the Buddha. A Bodhisattva Mahasava achieves 10 kinds of powers of a Tathagata. What are the 10? They are as follows. He achieves the powers of a Tathagata by defeating disturbing deeds of demons. He achieves the powers of a Tathagata by perfecting the Bodhisattva conduct and playfully roaming amidst the samadhi doors of all Bodhisattvas. He achieves the powers of a Tathagata by fully accomplishing the great high-reaching jhana samadhis of a Bodhisattva. He achieves the powers of a Tathagata by perfecting all the dhammas of purity that aid in cultivation. He achieves the powers of a Tathagata by attaining the wisdom's illumination of all dhammas that excels in contemplation and analysis. He achieves the powers of a Tathagata by pervading all worlds everywhere with his body. He achieves the powers of a Tathagata by speaking words that resonate with the mental activities of beings. He achieves the powers of a Tathagata by blessing all beings with his spiritual powers.
He achieved the
Powers of a Tathagata by attaining identical karma with all Buddhas in the 3 periods of time with regard to body, speech, and mind, and understanding all dhammas of the 3 periods of time in the space of a single thought. He achieves the powers of a Tathagata by gaining the samadhi of skillfully awakened wisdom, as well as all the 10 powers of a Tathagata, from the power of discerning right from wrong up to the power of destroying all outflows. These are the 10. If every Bodhisattva were to achieve these 10 powers, then he will be called the Tathagata, one worthy of offerings, one who has attained equal and proper awakening. Disciples of the Buddha, 10 phenomena occur when a Tathagata, one worthy of offerings, one who has attained equal and proper awakening, turns the great wheel of Dharma. What are the 10? They are as follows. The first is to be fully endowed with the wisdom of 4 types of pure fearlessnesses. The second is to let flow forth the 4 eloquences with a harmonious voice. The third is to skillfully reveal the characteristics of the Four Noble Truths. The fourth is to resonate with the unobstructed liberation of all Buddhas. The fifth is to be able to cause all beings to have pure faith. The sixth is that all of his words, which are never spoken in vain, can extract from beings the poisonous arrows of suffering. The seventh is to bless beings by virtue of his vows of great compassion. The eighth is that every sound he utters pervades all words throughout the 10 directions. The ninth is to continuously expound Dharma for Sankhya Kalpas. The 10th is that every Dharma he expounds can bring forth the roots, the powers, the bodhisattvas, and the paths, concentrations, liberations, samadhis, and other such dharmas. Disciples of the Buddha. When Buddhas, Tathagatas turn the wheel of Dharma, infinite such phenomena are involved. Disciples of the Buddha. When a Tathagata, one worthy of offerings, one who has attained equal and proper awakening, turns the wheel of Dharma. For 10 reasons he plants dharmas of purity in the minds of beings without exception. Or rather 10. They are because of the power of his past vows, because he is sustained by great compassion, because he does not abandon living beings, because he has achieved self-mastery due to wisdom, and explains Dharma according to the inclinations of beings, because he possesses right timing and never misses any opportunities, because he speaks appropriately and with correct judgment, because he has skillful understanding and the wisdom of knowing the 3 periods of time, because his body is supreme and pureless, because his words are freely expressed and are beyond measure, because his every word is enlightening by virtue of his wisdom and self-mastery. These are the 10 disciples of the Buddha. One worthy of offerings and one of proper and equal awakening. After having done the Buddha's work, manifests parinirvana out of 10 considerations. What are the 10? They are to show that all activities are actually impermanent, to show that all conditioned things are unstable, to show that nirvana is the abode of peace and fearlessness, to show humans and gods attached to their bodies that their bodies are subject to the principle of impermanence, so as to inspire them to abide in the pure Dharma body, to show that the force of impermanence is irreversible, to show that all conditioned things do not exist as one wishes and are not under one's control, to show that every existence in the 3 realms is like an illusion, a mirage lacking any foundation,
to show that the nature of nirvana is ultimately grounded
and indestructible, to show that all dharmas have no origin or arising, yet appear to come into being, come together, decay, and perish. Disciples of the Buddha. Once the Buddha, the World Honored One, has finished the work of a Buddha, has fulfilled his vows, has turned the wheel of Dharma, has transformed and liberated those who should be transformed and liberated, and has bestowed the predictions of Buddhahood upon the Bodhisattvas who should receive revered titles. Thus, according to the Dharma, he enters immutable great parinirvana.
Disciples of the Buddha.
Namo sammanto modana volati atocha janani jimi tantagata namo vashanti volati uddamodamo tantagata namo vahom panso namo sammanto modana volati atocha janani jimi tantagata namo vashanti volati uddamodamo tantagata namo vahom panso namo sammanto modana volati atocha janani jimi tantagata namo vashanti volati uddamodamo tantagata namo vahom panso. Praise for the 8th Assembly. In the assembly for the 3rd time in the Universal Light Palace, The myriad practices are perfectly cultivated. From Samantabhadra's vessel, 2,000 responses pour forth. In the ocean of suffering, he says the boat of kindness. A single phrase totally encompasses all Dharma meanings together, yet all pervasive. Dedication of merit. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts so goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all sorrow lead the grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Three bows. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Namo Da Fan Guan Fo Hua Yan Jin Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. Okay, we are going to continue with the Flower Dharma Sutra, Transcending the World, Part 7, Chapter 38, Part 7. We're going to begin with the last paragraph. The book page will be on 242. 242. And we're going to do 3 bows now. Namo fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. The unsurpassed, profound and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds or millions or eons. I now see, hear, and receive and uphold it, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Flower Dharma Sutra, Transcending the World, Chapter 38, Part 7. Disciples of the Buddha, this is the Dharma by which the Tathagata, one worthy of offerings and one of equal and proper awakening, manifests parinirvana out of 10 considerations. Disciples of the Buddha, this Dharma door is called vast, great, pure conduct of a Bodhisattva, which an infinite number of Buddhas expound and transmit, delighting the wise ones by enabling them to comprehend the innumerable meanings. Further, it enables the great vows and great practices of all Bodhisattvas to be brought forth.
Disciples of the Buddha,
If any being who upon hearing it, believes it upon believing it, understands it upon understanding it, puts it into practice, then he will surely and quickly attain Anattara Samyak Sambodhi. Why? It is because he cultivates according to the aforementioned teachings. Disciples of the Buddha, let it be known that any Bodhisattva who does not practice according to these teachings will forever be alienated from the Bodhi of Buddhas. Therefore, Bodhisattvas should practice according to the teachings. Disciples of the Buddha, this Dharma is the abode of all meritorious virtues of a Bodhisattva as well as the flower of decisive meanings. It totally enters all dharmas and gives rise to all wisdom. It helps one transcend the worlds and turn away from the path of the two vehicles. It cannot be understood by any being. It can illuminate all dharma doors, helping one to develop transcendental roots of goodness, such as the chapter of the Dharma door, transcending the world. It should be honored. It should be heard and received. It should be recited and upheld. It should be contemplated. It should be appreciated and sought after. It should be cultivated. If it were this way, let it be known that such a person would quickly attain Anattara Samyak Sambodhi.
when this chapter was spoken,
Because of the Buddha's spiritual power, and also because of the way the teaching of this Dharma door should be, measureless, boundless, ascential system in the 10 directions of great quickly, and great light shone forth everywhere. At that time, Buddhas of the 10 directions all appeared before universal worthy Bodhisattva and said in praise, good indeed, disciple of the Buddha, how you can expound the chapter of the abode of the conducts and virtues of all Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, the flower of decisive meanings, and the Dharma door of completely entering the Buddha Dharma and transcending the world. Disciple of the Buddha, you will already learn this Dharma well and are skilled in expounding it. Use your spiritual powers to guard and preserve this Dharma. We Buddhas all rejoice in and follow this, and as we Buddhas rejoice for you, so do all Buddhas as well. Disciple of the Buddha, we Buddhas, all of the same mind, protect and preserve this sutra.
so that the Bodhisattvas of the present and future Who have not heard it will have the opportunity to hear it.
At that time, universal worthy Bodhisattva Mahasattva, upon receiving the Buddha's spiritual power, surveyed all the multitudes in the 10 directions throughout the entire Dharma realm and spoke the following verses, cultivating austerity throughout infinite kalpas, born from the proper Dharma of infinite Buddhas, causing infinite beings to dwell in Buddhi. Listen as I speak about the Buddha's fearless conduct, making offerings to infinite Buddhas, yet letting go attachment, vastly liberating many beings without forming such a notion. Seeking the Buddha's meritorious virtue, his mind clings to nothing. Of his supreme wondrous conduct I now speak. Free from demons of the 3 realms of karma of afflictions, repeat with sage's meritorious virtue and supreme conduct, having extinguished all delusions, his mind is tranquil. I now speak of the path he cultivates, forever free from the world's deceptions and delusions. He shows beings various changes by way of transformation. Thoughts arise, dwelling and ceasing. He illustrates myriad phenomena. I speak of his ability to bring joy to all.
Seeing beings being born, aging and dying,
Bound and oppressed by afflictions, worries and calamities, he wishes to liberate them and teach them to aspire for Bodhi. You should hear about his conduct of meritorious virtue, giving resuscitation, vigor, dhyana, wisdom. Expedient means kindness, compassion, joy, equanimity, and others. He constantly practices these for millions of kalpas. Of his meritorious virtue, you, the human one, should hear. Seeking Bodhi throughout billions of kalpas, he never begrudges his life, vowing to benefit all beings rather than himself. Of his kind and compassionate deeds I now speak. To expand his virtues for countless kalpas would hardly amount to just one drop in the sea. His meritorious virtue is fearless beyond explanation even by analogy. Through the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, I vow briefly speak. His mind is neither high nor low, neither fatigued nor weary or speed, seeking the path. He universally causes all beings, he abides in goodness and develops the Dharma of purity. His wisdom benefits all everywhere, like trees, rivers, and springs, and also like the great earth upon which everything rests. The Bodhisattva is like a lotus flower, with roots of kindness, stems of peace, and with petals of wisdom, layers of precepts, his fragrance and purity.
The Buddha emits the light of Dharma,
causing flowers to bloom, which repel the water of the conditioned, to the delight of every beholder. The tree of the Bodhisattva's wondrous Dharma grows in the ground of an upright mind. Faith as its seed, kindness and compassion its root, and wisdom and knowledge its trunk. Expedient means are its paths. 6 perimeters is luxuriant branches, concentration is leaves, spiritual power is flowers, and all wisdom is its fruits. Supreme powers like birds perch on it, giving shade to the 3 realms. The Bodhisattva is like a lion king, with pure Dharma as his body. The 4 noble truths his leg, right mindfulness his neck, kindness his eyes, wisdom his head. He wears the headdress of liberation, echoing the valley of emptiness of supreme reality. His roar of Dharma terrifies all demons. The Bodhisattva is a craftman leader. He sees beings everywhere, in the vast wilderness of rebirth, in afflicted, dangerous, and difficult places, caught by apprentices and demons, ignorant, blind, straying from the proper path. The Bodhisattva directs them to the proper path, so that humans can enter the city of fearlessness. The Bodhisattva is living being, sick with the afflictions of 3 poisons, suffering all kinds of pain and distress, being part of being oppressed throughout the long night, having great compassion for beings, the Bodhisattva vastly explains the corrective methods
84,000 kinds in total,
with which to eradicate all afflictions and sufferings. The Bodhisattva is the king or Dharma, who transforms beings through the proper path, causing them to avoid wrong and cultivate good, and devotedly seeks the Buddha's meritorious virtue. In the places of all Buddhas, his recent anointments and prediction of Buddhahood, widely bestowing all kinds of sagely wealth, and the treasure of Bodhi shares. The Bodhisattva turns the wheel of Dharma, as do the Buddhas. Precepts are his help, samadhi is strength, wisdom his adornments, intelligence his sword. Having defeated the bandit of afflictions, he vanquishes the enmity of the demons. When the heretics see him from afar, they flee without exception. The Bodhisattva sees of wisdom, vast and boundless, deep and wide, fully suffused with the flavor of the Dharma, filled with a precious share of awakening. His great mind is shoreless and without bound. All wisdom as his tide, no living being can measure it, and it can never be exhausted by description in words. The Bodhisattva's mastery goes beyond the world. Spiritual powers and samadhi is his peak. The great mind rests securely without moving. Anyone who draws close to him will be identical in the color wisdom. It is way beyond all realms, yet there are none who do not see him.
The Bodhisattva is like a jar, determined to see all wisdom. His faith and bitter practices are firm and unshakable.
His mind is without fear, hating all living beings. Multitudes of demons and afflictions are all vanquished without a trace. The Bodhisattva's great kindness and compassion are like multi-layered, dense clouds, three insights like a lightning flash, perfection of spiritual powers like the roaring thunder, with the four eloquences, the water of the eight meritorious virtues rains down everywhere, harmoniously moistening all, relieving the fever of affliction. The Bodhisattva city of proper Dharma has Vajra as its walls, a sense of shame as its deep moat, wisdom as its battlement. The gate of liberation is flung wide open. The city is constantly guarded by right mindfulness. Four noble truths are the level, royal road. The six spiritual powers are the troops and arsenal. Moreover, he raises the banner of great Dharma, protecting those throughout the land from being harmed by the demons of the three existences, for none of them can possibly enter. The Bodhisattva is like a Garuda, having strong claw of azure wings, bold and mighty wings of expedient means, clear, sharp eyes of kindness and compassion. Perching on a tree of all wisdom, he watches the great ocean of three existences, snatching up the dragons of humans and gods, and he securely places them on the shore of Nirvana. The Bodhisattva, like the sun of proper Dharma, rises above the world, upholding all precepts as his orb, operating swiftly by virtue of four spiritual powers, shining his wisdom light, nurturing the herbs of roots and powers, eradicating the darkness of afflictions, evaporating the ocean of craving. The Bodhisattva, like the moon of wisdom light, with the Dharma realm as its disk,
runs through the sky of ultimate emptiness, visible for all in the world to see.
Waxing warning in the minds of conscious beings in three realms, even among the stars of the two vehicles, it has no peers at all. The Bodhisattva is like the great king or Dharma, with a body adorned with meritorious virtues, fully replete with all superior features. All humans and gods behold him with reverence. He has pure eyes like physical means, and Vajra pistols of wisdom. He has self-mastery with respect to Dharma, guiding all beings toward the proper path. The Bodhisattva, like the great king of the Brahma heavens, achieves sovereignty by transcending the three existences. Having totally ended his karmic delusions, he is replete with kindness and equanimity. He appears everywhere, awakening beings with his voice or Dharma. Within the three realms, he uproots all erroneous with views. The Bodhisattva, like the king of the heaven or sovereignty, has transcended the stage of death and rebirth. His stage is forever pure, and his wisdom never regrets or diminishes. Having relinquished the paths of the two vehicles, he has received
anointment on the crying Dharma.
having perfect
meritorious virtue and wisdom.
His name is heard everywhere. The Bodhisattva's mind of wisdom is clear and pure as space, having no nature nor dependency. Since there is nothing to obtain with great strength arising from self-mastery, there is nothing in the world he cannot accomplish. Replete with pure practices, he enables beings to act in the same manner. The Bodhisattva, like the earth element of expedient means, benefits all living beings. The Bodhisattva, like the water element of kindness and compassion, washes away all afflictions. The Bodhisattva, like the fire element of wisdom, burns the fire of delusion and habit. The Bodhisattva, like the wind element of not abiding, drifts through the space of the three existences. The Bodhisattva, like a precious jewel, relieves the suffering of the poor. The Bodhisattva, like Vajra, crushes all kinds of perverse views. The Bodhisattva, like a necklace of precious gems, adorns the body of three existences. The Bodhisattva, like a morning jewel, enhances the many practices. The Bodhisattva's virtues, like flowers, eternally exudes the fragrance of Bodhi-shares. The Bodhisattvas are like flower garlands, eternally gracing the heads of living beings. The Bodhisattva's pure precepts, like incense, are upheld and maintained without neglect or offense. The Bodhisattva's wisdom, like paste incense, everywhere perfumes the three realms. The Bodhisattva's strength, like a curtain, screens against the dust of afflictions. The Bodhisattva's wisdom, like a banner, defeats the enemy's arrogance. His sublime practices, like colorful silk brocade, adorns all of his wisdom. Shame and remorse, like his clothing, protects all kinds of being. The Bodhisattva's unimpeded vehicle transports being out of the three realms. The Bodhisattva, like a big, strong elephant, is well subdued at heart. The Bodhisattva's spiritual powers, like horses, courses over all existences. The Bodhisattva, like a dragon, speaking Dharma,
everywhere rests down all beings' minds.
The Bodhisattva, like an apala flower, is difficult to encounter in the world. The Bodhisattva, like a great courageous general, vanquishes every demon. The Bodhisattva turns the wheel of Dharma, the same of all the Buddhas do. The Bodhisattva's lamp pierces through the darkness and shows the right path to beings. The Bodhisattva's river of meritorious virtue eternally flows along the true course. The Bodhisattva's bridge of vigor widely crosses over multitudes of beings. His great wisdom and vast powers together make a sturdy ship, fearing all living beings, settling them safely on the Bodhi shore. The Bodhisattva's garden of amusement truly gladdens living being. The Bodhisattva's rooms of liberation decorate the palace of the wise. The Bodhisattva, like wondrous medicine, ends the diseases of afflictions. The Bodhisattva, like a snowy mountain, grows herbs of wisdom. The Bodhisattva, equal to the Buddhas, awakens all living beings. How can the Buddha's mind think of anything else but to awaken beings in the world to a true awakening? When the Buddhas come forth, then the Bodhisattva comes forth, and like all wisdom, he enters universality by wisdom. Skillful at giving insights, the Bodhisattva guides all beings. The Bodhisattva naturally awakens to the state of all wisdom. The Bodhisattva's immeasurable strength is indestructible in the world. The Bodhisattva with fearless wisdom understands living beings and dharmas. That is, the myriad worlds, forms and characteristics are all different. Be their voices or names, the Bodhisattva distinguishes them all.
Though free from name and form, he manifests various appearances. Of all living beings, none can fathom his state.
Such a meritorious virtue the Bodhisattva has accomplished all. Knowing that nature is devoid of nature, the Bodhisattva transcends existence and non-existence. All these kinds of wisdom have no end, no dependence. Now I will explain together the parts of knowing that the qualities or dharmas are like illusions, still and empty, yet with my vow of compassion and blessings from the Buddha's majestic powers, I manifest spiritual powers and perform limitless deeds. Upon such meritorious virtues, you all should listen and accept. With one body he can manifest countless different bodies. Without thinking and without states, he responds to all beings everywhere. With one voice he can express all kinds of languages and sounds. The languages of beings he uses according to kind. Forever
free from the body of affliction, he appears in a body of sovereignty. He knows Dharma as inexpressible, yet uses various expressions. His mind ever quiescent, clear and pure as space. He adorns all lands everywhere, appearing to all beings. He has no attachment to the body, yet is able to manifest bodies, being born in every world according to the need, in all places. He does not dwell in rebirth. He knows that bodies are like space, appearing according to various minds. The Bodhisattva's boundless body appears in all places everywhere, honoring and always making offerings to the Supreme Doubly Perfect One. Incense, flower, dances, and music, banners, banners, and jewel canopies. With a profound and pure mind, he always presents offerings to Buddhas. Without leaving the one Buddha, he is present in all Buddha's places. When among the great assemblies, he inquires about, listens to, and accepts the Dharma. Upon hearing the Dharma,
he enters infinite types of samadhis. Upon emerging from samadhi in the same way, he produces endless manifestations. With wisdom and skillful experience, he sees the world as illusory. Yet in his abode manifests boundless illusions within the world, manifesting various forms, mental activities, and speeches. He enters the natural thoughts, but never with attachment, or he appears as one with initial resolve to benefit the world, or he may manifest as a seasoned cultivator to cultivate vastly without bound, giving precept, patience, vigor, dhyana, samadhi, wisdom, for Brahma abodes, for attractions, and all such supreme dharmas. He manifests perfecting cultivation, attaining patience without discrimination, or he appears as an Avatamsaka, receiving the Buddha's anointment on the crown, or he may appear as a hero, or as one enlightened to conditions, entering parinirvana everywhere, never giving up his Bodhi practice, or he may appear as Lord Chakra, or as the king of the Brahma heavens, or being surrounded by heavenly maidens, or being alone in solitude, or he may appear as a bhikshu, serene, well regulated in his mind, or he may appear as a world ruler, or as the king of the heaven of comfort, or appears a magical maiden, or appear practicing austerities. He may appear enjoying 5 kinds of desire, or as entering various dhyanas. He may appear as a newborn, or as one youthful, aging, or dying. Those who could conceive of this would be doubtful and confused. He may appear in a heavenly palace, or manifest his spirit descending. He may enter and dwell in the womb, becoming a Buddha and turning the wheel or Dharma. He may be born or enter nirvana, or enter the hall of learning. He may appear among court courtesans, or leave the mundane to practice dhyana.
He may sit under the Bodhi tree and naturally realize proper awakening.
He may manifest turning the wheel or Dharma, or as a novice seeking the path. He may appear as a Buddha, serenely sitting in infinite land. He may cultivate a path of no retreat, amassing means of Bodhi. He enters countless kalpas, everywhere reaching the other shore. Infinite kalpas are seen as just one thought as infinite kalpas. All kalpas are seen as non-kalpas, yet he manifests kalpas in the world. Without coming or accumulating, he accomplishes tasks in all kalpas. In every minute dust particle, he sees all Buddhas throughout the 10 directions. There is no place he does not appear. Phenomena such as lands or living beings, he sees them all in sequence through an infinite number of kalpas, ultimately inexhaustible. The Bodhisattva knows that living beings are vast and boundless in number, and that each being's body arises from measureless causalities. As he knows that one is infinite, so indeed are all. According to beings' capacities, he teaches those who have not learned. He knows the faculties of beings, superior, medium, inferior, all different. He also knows that faculties undergo change, and that who can be taught and cannot. He knows as well for one faculty, so does he for all. Each in causality. Regarding each faculty's subtle differences, he knows well in order without confusion. He also knows beings' desire and understanding.
All of their affections and habits, as well as their mental activities
of the past, present, and future. He realizes all activities as having no coming or going. Having known all beings' activities, the Bodhisattva speaks the unsupposed Dharma. He thoroughly knows all kinds of pure and defiling practices. Attaining Bodhi in a single thought, he achieves all wisdom. Abiding in the Buddha's mind of unknowable ultimate wisdom, he knows the activities of beings all within a single thought. The Bodhisattva repeats with wisdom or sovereign spiritual power, can within a single thought journey to boundless lands. Thus traveling swiftly throughout endless kalpas, there is nowhere he does not reach, even a tip of his head does not move. Just as a skilled magician makes various forms appear, one finds in those illusions neither form nor non-form. Likewise does the Bodhisattva, with the magical wisdom and experience, make appear various forms that fill up all of the worlds. As the clearest sun and moon, like bright mirrors in the sky, their reflections in all waters are untainted by the water. Likewise, you should know the Bodhisattva's will of pure Dharma appears in the water of minds in the world, yet it is unspoiled by the world. Just as a man in a dream performs all kinds of things which may go on for billions of years, yet not even a single night has passed. The Bodhisattva, dwelling in the nature of Dharma, manifests all phenomena. Countless kalpas may be exhausted, yet the moment of wisdom is inexhaustible. Just as in a valley or among palaces, all the sounds echo, indeed, without discrimination. The Bodhisattva dwelling in the nature or Dharma, with wisdom arising from self-mastery, can speak according to each being, yet he has no discrimination. As one who sees some mirage and thinks it is a water, chases after it but finds no drink, which in turn makes him even more thirsty. It should be known that beings, afflicted minds are also like this. The Bodhisattva takes pity on beings, rescues them and sets them free.
The Bodhisattva contemplates form as a crop of foam, sensations as bubbles on water, connection as mirages, formations as plantain trees, consciousness as illusion, and how various things are manifested, knowing that the sadhus are this way. The wise have no attachments, the sensory sights are empty and still, yet put into motion like a machine. All sensory realms are ever inherently void, yet fabricate illusory appearances of the world. The Bodhisattva abiding in reality, in the empty, tranquil, ultimate truth, proclaims the teachings vastly in a multitude of ways, yet his mind relies on nothing. Having no coming or going, and having no dwelling as well, yet due to afflictive karma, the cause of suffering, the three things forever turn and drift about. Condition arises, neither true nor false, neither existent nor non-existent. Thus he enters the middle way. He speaks without attachment. Within one thought he manifests the mind of three realms of desire, form and no form, and all the myriad things. According with the three kinds of precepts, he expounds the three liberations, establishes the paths of three vehicles, and accomplishes all wisdom. He clearly understands right from wrong, various karma and faculties, realms, levels of understandings, dhyana concentrations, all means to proper path, recollection of past lives, heavenly eyes, eradicating all delusions, all these 10 powers of a Buddha he would not fully accomplish. Thoroughly realizing that dharmas are empty, he constantly seeks the wondrous dharma. He does not become involved with afflictions that he would not completely end all outflows. He extensively knows the ways of transcendence, then he brings living beings across, thereby attaining fearlessness, not forsaking the practice of cultivation. He does not err nor oppose the path, nor lose the right mindfulness. He is vigorous in his quest for samadhi, never diminishing in contemplative wisdom.
Upholding the three modes of precepts purely, he gains a piercing clarity in seeing the three periods of time. He takes pity on beings with great kindness, letting no obstacles stand in his way. By entering the Dharma doors, he accomplishes his practices. I have now spoken some of the principles of his sublime meritorious virtues. Speaking for limitless kalpas, I still could not describe all of his practices. What I have spoken is like a particle of dust from the earth. Relying on the Buddha's wisdom as his dwelling, he gives rise to extraordinary aspiration. Cultivating practice supreme, repeat with great compassion. Vigorous at ease and peaceful within himself, teaching and transforming sentient beings, abides peacefully within the purity of his precepts, perfecting conduct worthy of receiving prediction. He can perfect Buddha's meritorious virtue, knowing beings, activities, and countries, as well as every world and kalpa, never becoming weary even for a moment. With the harmony of discerning wisdom, he completely mastered the meaning of reality, contemplating and explaining the incomparable. In stillness, he attains equal proper awakening. He brings forth the resolve for universal worthy and cultivates his conduct and vows with the causal power of passion. His mind pure, tending toward them.
through the cultivation of
paramitas. He resonates with ultimate awakened wisdom and gains the mastery of powers, attaining unsurpassed bodhi. He achieves the wisdom of impartiality, expounds the supreme Dharma, and upholds it with wondrous eloquence, reaching the position of Dharma King, totally free from all attachments, expands the mind of impartiality, and gives rise to wisdom, attaining bodhi through transformation. He upholds the Dharma through all kalpas, so the wise one attained rightful relief. He deeply enters and relies on the Dharma without fear or delusion. Mastering the inconceivable, he is skilled at esoteric speech and discerning wisdom. Good at entering all samadhis, he completely sees all states of wisdom.
Ultimately liberated, he had free roams in spiritual insights.
Forever released from fetters and bonds, he freely roams in gardens and groves. Pure dharmas are his palaces, various practices his delight. He manifests endless adornments, his mind unmoved by the world. He skillfully contemplates with his deepest mind and proclaims with the eloquence. His seal of bodhi pure and clear, his light of wisdom shining everywhere. His dwelling place is peerless, and his mind ever noble. His resolve like a great mountain, his roots of virtue deep like the sea. Like a jewel he rests peacefully in the Dharma, and wears the armor of his vows. He sets out with great undertaking, his resolve ultimately indestructible. He resists the prediction of bodhi and dwells in a generous mind. He has an inexhaustible hidden treasury and can awaken to all dharmas. He gains mastery of worldly, of unobstructed wondrous actions, all living beings of all lands as well as of all dharmas, and of his body's vows and states, wisdom, spiritual powers, and so on. He may manifest through all worlds, hundreds of thousands, up to limitless in number. Playfully roaming through all states freely, he cannot be hindered in any way. Possessing unique powers and fearlessnesses, he is sublime in every aspect of karma. His body and body karma, his speech and pure speech karma. From guarding well his karma, he accomplishes the 10 deeds. The Bodhisattva from his initial resolve up to his mind pervading everywhere, never allows his faculties to scatter, and hence obtains supreme truth with his profound excellent mind, far removed from flattery and deception, decisive in his various understandings. He enters all worlds everywhere. He abandons habits of afflictions, having grasped the highest path. He perfects through his skillful cultivation, having accomplished all wisdom. Not retreating, he enters the right position and
realizes tranquil stillness. Giving birth to the path of the Buddha Dharma, he attains the title of meritorious virtue, the one path and the infinite path, that reach out to the path of adornment. He dwells upon skillfully each in turn without attachment to any. Of hands and feet and inner organ, the heart is made of vajra. Wearing normal compassion, his repeats with every weapon. With a head of wisdom, clear and penetrating eyes, ears of bodhisattva conduct, and nose of the purity of precepts, he easily dispels all darkness, eloquence his tongue. Omnipresence is his body, highest wisdom as his mind. He cultivates in every action, whether still or walking, sitting on the lion throne of the Bodhimantra. He reclines in Brahma conduct and abides in emptiness. Through his practice and contemplation, he everywhere illumines the Tathagata state, pervasively contemplating the activities of being. He rose from the lion's spring. He is free from greed and purely practices giving, abandoning conceit, purely upholding the precepts. He is never angered, always tolerant and patient, never lax but always vigorous. His teaches suffering ease. With
wisdom free of clinging, aiding tirelessly with kindness and compassion. He takes delight in the Dharma, transcending afflictions. He, in the midst of each and every stage, knows the meanings and principles. His blessings and virtue complete. His wisdom like a sharp sword. He illuminates everywhere and delights in learning and clearly understands advancing in the Dharma. He knows the demons and their ways and vows to leave them all behind. He beholds the Buddhas and the deists, while to comprehend them all. He abandons arrogance and develops wisdom to never be seized by the demon's power. He is supported by the Buddhas and supported by the Dharma. He appears to live in the Toshita heaven, and he appears to perish in the Toshita heaven. Namo Samanta Mata Nana Pola Dihata Jajanani Ajimi Jimi Tanda Gata Namo Vasante Palati Uda Mata Motanta Gata Namo Vaham Pansa Namo Samanta Mata Nana Pola Dihata Jajanani Ajimi Jimi Tanda Gata Namo Vasante Palati Uda Motanta Gata Namo Vaham Pansa Namo Samanta Motana Palati Hata Jajana Ajimi Jimi Tanda Gata Namo Vasante Palati Uda Motanta Gata Namo Vaham Pansa. In the assembly for the third time, in the universal light palace, the myriad practices are cultivated to completion. 2,000 responses pour out or sorry, I got the wrong.
Yeah.
Praise for the 8th assembly. In the assembly of the third time and the universal light palace, the myriad practices are perfectly cultivated from Samatha Braja's vassal. 2,000 responses pour forth. In the ocean of suffering, he sails the boat of kindness. A single phrase totally encompasses all Dharma meanings together, yet all pervasive. Dedication of merit. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may their minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light break the darkness or the endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. 3 bow. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master.